Reptichip sets the standard for reptile substrates. Made from the highest quality coconut available anywhere in the world, Reptichip allows enthusiasts and keepers to provide their reptiles with the necessary humidity and thermoregulation required for your animals to thrive. You can support the podcast by heading to reptichip.com/snakeboy or visit the link in the description below. This episode is brought to you in part by Exoterra. If you're as passionate about reptiles and amphibians as I am, you know that quality matters. I use Exoterra products on all my reptile and amphibian enclosures, which is why I'm excited to be partnering with them. From naturalistic decor to innovative lighting and enclosures of all sizes, Exoterra has everything you need for your cold-blooded companions. Exoterra, make your reptiles feel at home. This episode is brought to you in part by Unlimited Exotic Pets. Every day is Veranda Day for Nick Lillis, and it shows. At Unlimited Exotic Pets, Nick produces high-quality monitor lizards with a deep commitment to ethical care practices and top-tier nutrition. These aren't just pets. They're responsibly bred, ethically raised animals. Whether you're looking for a new companion, starting a breeding project, or anything in between, Nick has you covered. Unlimited Exotic Pets, keeping and breeding quality without limitations. Love reptiles? Don't miss this. If you're passionate about reptiles, amphibians, and everything cold-blooded, Reptiles magazine is a must-have. Each issue is packed with expert care tips, stunning photography, and the latest news in the reptile world. Whether you're a seasoned herpetologist or just starting your reptile journey, this magazine has something for you. Subscribe today and stay informed on the best ways to care for your scaly friends. For only $14.99 a year, you can step outside your algorithm and get exposure to things that you wouldn't normally see or learn about. My family reads Reptiles magazine, and you should too. Visit subscribe.reptilesmagazine.com to get started. This is the Expert and the Idiot podcast. If you like the show and you'd like to support us, there's a link to our Patreon in the description below. Some benefits include getting access to new episodes up to a month in advance. There's also links to USARK and USARK Florida. If you're not already a member, please sign up. Enjoy the show. Start my water changes on Thursday night, and I take everything and I put it in the dishwasher, and then Friday morning, first thing, I pull all the bowls out and get everybody, fresh water, and like that's always a race against the clock. And then I got my Argentine her water, and I left her door open because she wanted to come out. Normally she just comes out and goes under the cage, like under the stand. There's like storage areas. And instead she came out and just went all around the room. I mean, I could see the trail of destruction. Like she just knocked shit over from one end of the room to the other. Like my camera was moved, my lighting was moved, air purifier knocked over. I had to secure all this stuff on the back of the computer, and it ended up being that she went a full 360 around the entire room, got up on top of my desk, and then went into this hood that separates these two 6x2x2s.
Wow.
And there's like a wire basket in there, and she went through the wire basket. So I had to as soon as I touched her, she flexed. And then she was totally stuck in that thing. So I went I just went crazy, and I just bent this wire and opened it up so she could come out. And
wow.
It was lesson learned. You can't,
fair enough. Yeah.
You can't just let her out and do whatever she wants. All right. Well, this is episode 104 of The Expert and the Idiot. Today I am talking to Kyle. Is it Markham or Markham or?
It's Markham. Thanks for asking.
Markham. Okay. Yeah. This whole, like, I always just look at stuff and I'm like, Mark Ham,
Yeah.
and like an idiot, but it's Markham.
No, I mean
So,
it's that's the way it looks, so
yeah.
it's understandable.
Yeah, man. I have a hard time with last names, and it's funny because of my last name. It's such a weird last name. But yeah, man, it's good to finally get you on, and I can't wait to talk about your collection and everything. And you had some breeding success last season, right?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, how is your last name pronounced?
Say.
Say.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, see, like sometimes you just have to ask, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even like sometimes I'll ask and then get it right and then say it the wrong way anyway because I'm just that stupid.
It takes a few times sometimes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had some
Yeah.
good breeding success with the northern white-lipped pythons. It was my first breeding season in general ever.
Wow.
So I hit my goal species in the first season, which is, a huge accomplishment. So I'm super happy about that.
Yeah, that is huge. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So so walk me through kind of how that went. How did you get them to go? How did you get your white lips to successfully reproduce?
Fox just ran by my door. But so basically through food cycling, they're a species that's close to the equator. So they're
Okay.
more dependent on food than on temperature because the temperature doesn't change a whole lot where they're from.
Okay.
So they have more of like a wet season and a dry season. And then during the wet season, you're going to have more food. So, basically just kind of, you know, giving them a few months off of food and then ramping the food up
Mm.
is basically how I got them to go. It's like, okay, it's time to breed, just kind of clicks on in their head. And then, you see them start building and stuff like that. And then after that, it's just like any python, you just follow the steps of just continuing to feed, continuing to breed until they eventually usually will go off food and then ovulate and lay the eggs.
All right, so walk me through the food cycling, like specifically. Like, what did you do? Did you slow down during the summer and then ramp up like at the end of summer before the fall and then cut them off completely? What did that look like?
I kind of cut them off the first time during the winter.
Okay.
And it doesn't seem to matter a whole lot when you cut them off. It just
Mm.
seems to matter that you do cut them off of food and then get them back on food.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I
Okay.
mean, just from my experience, but it did take a year and a half from when I got them to when they bred, which really is not that bad.
Mm.
Looking at it, and my female was a wild caught, so that's
Okay.
even better. That she was able to acclimate and stuff like that. But yeah, I cut them off during the winter, and then after the winter when spring came and stuff like that, then I started feeding them again, and I really didn't see too much happen. And then I kind of cut them off during the summer, and I guess they finally went in the fall, like normal breeding season. So I have heard of people though having success different times a year. So I guess I did have success during the fall, during the normal breeding season.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
And did you notice any differences in behaviors like between your male and female? Like did like what behavioral differences did you notice going into breeding season between the two of them?
The females were really hitting the food hard. That's something that you'll always see, just females hitting the food really hard. The males just messing up everything in their cage trying to get out and breed. Um, I was smart enough to get a good amount of males and a good amount of females. Um, when I did breed, I had this year I have less because I know which breeders worked and which didn't and stuff like that. But I had 4 males and 2 females. So basically, I was able to rotate the males and stuff like that. But the males are
Mm,
just moving around, trying their best to get out and get to the female. And the female will just start smashing food.
mm, interesting. And that's when you get that ovulation swell from the female.
So that's basically when they're starting follicles. And to
Okay.
get the ovulation with the white-lipped pythons, I had to really hit them with a lot of small meals, was really the key. It wasn't like, oh, give them a huge prey item. It was like, give them a bunch of small prey items to almost simulate the wild. So, like,
Mm,
just like they would find a bunch of stuff running around during the wet season, they're more likely to find a bunch of small prey items than one large prey item. So I was kind of giving them a bunch of small prey items. And then
mm.
once they would go to the bathroom, boom, I'm just pairing them up like right away. And then that's when I would breed them unless they're shedding, because I just wasn't seeing much action during shedding.
Interesting. And how many eggs did you get?
I got 10 eggs.
Wow. And did all 10 hatch?
Nine hatched. So one was actually dead in the egg.
Okay. And kind of walk me through the whole incubation process.
I incubated them just a degree lower than I do ball pythons because I keep them at a lower temperature. So I figured might as well incubate them a degree lower. So I incubated them at 87. And it took about 60 some days. I think it was like 63 days, 63, 65, something like that. I'd have to look back for the exact number, but over 60 days. And it was pretty straightforward, to be really honest. I just used vermiculite. I wet the vermiculite up to where it wasn't dripping, but it was wet and humid enough. And then, pretty much how I'd incubate a ball python. You know what I mean? The same exact way, just a degree cooler.
Okay. And how have the babies been like getting them started?
I've got 7 out of 9 going so far, and the 2 that have not started were the biggest 2. So
Really?
so it's like they absorb so much of the yolk that they're just not ready to eat yet.
Wow. And they're still doing good, still going strong?
Yeah, they look great. I mean, their body hasn't started deteriorating. So basically, if I was to start assist feeding them, for example, that would kick in their metabolism, and then they could actually potentially deteriorate faster than if I just let them, acclimate and take their time and then get them on food.
Okay. And what did you get your baby started on?
Just mouse fuzzies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Pretty straightforward then.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing crazy. I've even tried giving them quail, but none of them took it.
Okay.
The adults I feed a lot of quail to because they'll spit up hairballs.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Cool. Talk to me about that because I recently had that happen with my female Timor.
Yeah.
And it kind of scared the shit out of me at first. I reached out to Ryan Young and he's like, yeah, I've had that show up before. He's never actually seen them do it, and I didn't see her do it, but it was just this giant hairball with like a curled up mouse tail or a rat tail in it.
There was a tail in it?
Like the end of a tail. It was so random.
That's crazy.
It was like a pig's tail too. Like it was all curled up and it was tiny. Like it had almost shrunken up. It was really bizarre. And there was almost no odor to it.
Right. Like that's true.
It didn't stink the room up. It didn't stink the cage up. I pulled out this hairball, this pellet, and broke it apart. And it was hair the entire way through and like the end of a tail.
Yeah. I mean, that happens. I'll have to pay more attention and see if there's the end of a tail on any of the ones that I get.
I was talking to Lisa, and I know Lisa said that she's had it happen, and there was like quail feet sitting there, or chick's feet. Like there was like
interesting.
Yeah, she got like a hairball with like bird feet in it.
I have never had a hairball that was from feeding only a bird. Now I am feeding, like I said, a bunch of small meals. So what I'll do is the meals will be during breeding season for the females. It'll consist of rats and chicks or quails or whatever I have. So I actually had one spit up like a gray hairball the other day, but she ate a white mouse or a white rat and then some chicks. So I know part of it was from the chicks. But I've never had them spit up a full hairball just off eating a bird. So that's interesting that Lisa had that happen.
How well, and it might, I don't know if she does, if she mixes in birds, and maybe like the last thing she fed was a chick. I can't remember the conversation exactly. But yeah, it was interesting because I pointed out that I had this random rat tail, and she's like, yeah, I had a couple like chick feet, or
Yeah.
quail feet. I can't remember if it was chicks or quail. I'm sorry, Lisa, I can't remember the full story. So what got you into reptiles? What got you so invested? What makes you passionate about reptiles?
For me, there's something that connects me to my more pure, more innocent self.
Hmm.
So they bring out that childlike enthusiasm in me. So that's kind of why I'm like, you know what? They make me my best self.
Hmm.
Even just keeping reptiles, it improved who I was as a person. It gave me a productive hobby. And then that's why I'm like, why not make this my life? So I've been now full time in reptiles for a year.
Wow.
That just this month I've been full time for a year now. So I got into snakes because my sister popped up with a ball python. Her friend went to college. She popped up with a normal ball python, glass tank, reptile carpet, all
Yeah.
the classic, old
Yeah.
school setup or whatever, thermometer sticky on the
Yeah. The
wall.
Reptile Expo
Yeah,
special.
the Reptile Expo special. And then there was a normal ball python named Fang. So I changed its name to Fluffy because I thought it was just ridiculous that it was named Fang because
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was so nice. And I was like, how could you name this Fang? And that was my first
Yeah.
first pet that was just mine, was a snake. So that's why I got into snakes.
Right on. How old were you? Is it your older sister or younger sister?
My older sister. I was 15, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have any prior exposure to reptiles before that you think sort of planted that seed?
It's possible. I was always around. I mean, my parents would take me to like the animal show at the library, right? Where someone would have like a Burmese python and then they'd be showing it off and stuff like that. So I definitely saw snakes and animals. I found an old assignment I did for class when I was younger. And it said, when I get older, I want to work at a zoo, was what
Hmm.
I had written when they asked what I wanted to do when I got older. And I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I mean, I just liked animals in general. So I was like, cool. I don't know anyone with a snake, and I did see animals outside. I was outside a lot and I would see animals outside and stuff like that. Black rat snakes are very prevalent where I'm at, the eastern rats.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I saw animals, I'd seen snakes, and I never had any bad exposure to a snake,
Yeah.
so I guess I was just open minded.
What what species are you most passionate about? Is it the white lips?
It is, and that is because there's not enough people breeding them, and I've had success, and now I know that I can continue to captive breed them in the U.S. There's other species that I like a lot too, though.
Yeah.
I have stuff just as pets that I really like. Like my scrub python's really cool.
Yeah. And you have no intent of reproducing the scrubs?
Not at the moment. I have to actually upgrade my living space in general. So when I do that, I want to make like a snake building and stuff like that. And then once that happens, I may expand. But scrub pythons aren't at the top of my list to try to breed. But they're
Yeah.
really cool. I like my retic. I have a retic. I like her a lot. I have a boa just as a pet, a green tree python. That's probably the easiest snake that I keep, is the
Yeah.
green tree python. Yeah, I mean, I just have random snakes, carpet pythons.
Mm.
I just mostly pythons, but I like some boas too. Like the Argentines are really
Yeah.
cool. You know,
Do you have
um,
any yet?
no, I don't. I really like that Max Pink line.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah,
are
they're
really
beautiful.
pretty.
They
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
I got I recently got a opheliological services. It was Eugene Bissette's line. I recently got another male. So I'm at 2.2 now of the Argentines.
Nice.
So yeah, I love them. They're so cool. Except for I don't know what this girl is up to. You know what I actually think it is? I think her getting into her shenanigans this morning. I think it's probably because she hasn't eaten in like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So her normal self that eats like every 3 weeks, I think she's probably conditioned to be like, hey, this is, I should have eaten by now, so now she's just like cruising. She's more agile.
Yep.
She's already kind of looking more lean and mean, a little bit more muscular, not as chubbed out with with the extra large rats she gets every 3 or 4 weeks. But maybe it's actually been about 5 weeks since she ate last. But yeah, she's going into the winter, so she's gonna go without food for a little while. It's like, I remember Dr. Booth told me, if you want your boas to grow, don't feed them. And I don't necessarily want her to grow 6.5 feet and is plenty good, but I know she's going to continue to grow and put size on. So I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, even just with my boa and Imperator, I do the same thing. Their metabolism is so crazy slow that literally I'll just feed her and I won't even pay attention to when I fed her. And just like when she looks like it's time to eat again, I'll feed her again.
That's probably the best way to do it. Cause man, if you stick to a schedule with them, man, it seems like they really chunk out pretty quick.
Yeah. Their metabolism's so slow. And then people try to get them ginormous and feed them, weekly and stuff like that. And that's just crazy to me.
Yeah. I've seen some that are absolutely monstrous and it terrifies me.
Yeah. But you never see them when they're
reassured.
Really old.
Yeah. I've been reassured it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. No, it definitely doesn't. It doesn't. And then mine, like, she's still a big boa, but I feed her like every couple months. She's like 4 at this point. So I'm at the point where I don't really have to push it, too much. Yeah. And I can just kind of feed her every couple months and she's good.
Yeah. My boa Imperator, I think what is she? She's coming up on 3, I think. And she's still growing quickly, so it's like I feed her and she'll look like it's wild. You give them like one large meal and they look like they're overweight, and then they kind of lean out, over a few weeks, and then it's time to hit them again.
Yeah.
But all right. So how many white lips do you have altogether?
Right now, including babies, like 15.
Okay. And do you plan on holding back some of those young?
Yes. And the one I'm trying to hold back is one of the ones that won't eat. So what I picked based off color, she's really golden. So I like the golden color, and I'm trying to selectively breed for golden white lips. And she won't eat, so I'm like, can you hurry up and eat, But the other one is just a male that I left extra. Like, I had all the eggs accounted for before they ever even hatched. I had a wait list, and then they were all claimed already. But I left an extra just in case, like, I don't have success establishing them. You know what I mean? To just make sure. And then the other male is like that. But like I said, their bodies are looking really healthy, so I should be good. But yes, I'm holding that one back. And then I actually had another snake that I called, my wife actually named Lucky. So I told you one died in the egg. So this was my first year breeding snakes. I'd had a couple ball python clutches. My first clutch was actually completely by accident. I bought a ball python that was gravid. She laid eggs on Easter. And I just happened to build an incubator. So I already had an incubator and literally Easter eggs. And then I just incubated them and boom, that was my first clutch. And then this year, that was last year. This year I produced my first clutches. So it was really my first year breeding snakes.
Yeah.
So I had 2 ball python clutches, 100% hatch rate on those. And then I got my white lip clutch, and 8 of the eggs pipped and came out. And then 1 was dead in the egg. And I can't remember if it had pipped or not. I think it's possible that it had pipped, and I think its sibling might have actually flipped it over when it was, crawling around in the container with it. But I saw that snake dead in the egg. That was my first time seeing a snake dead in the egg. And then literally my 3-year-old walked downstairs, and I'm like holding the dead snake. Like right when he walked down, he was like, "Daddy dead?" And I was like, yeah, it's dead, you know? So it was like a whole moment. And then the next egg after that was not pipped. And it was a smaller egg. It was moldy. And it just looked gross. So I actually just cut the top open just to look in it. And it was really murky and bloody on the inside of the egg. So I touched the snake and there was no movement. So I made a huge mistake and I pulled the snake out and it was alive. And the yolk sac was still attached to it.
Oh.
Like I literally, massive mistake. I literally Jay from Prehistoric Pets this snake out of the egg. And then it was completely fine. And I was like, I cannot believe I just did that. You know what I mean? So I actually ended up putting it into a deli cup with a wet paper towel with the egg yolk still attached to it. I left it in the incubator for another night, and it absorbed some of it and dropped the egg yolk. And it was smaller than all the other ones. Even its head was smaller than the other ones. So, and I named that one. My wife named it Lucky, so we're calling it Lucky. And it's eating like a savage now. So I can't sell that to anyone because I knew that it came out in subpar conditions compared to my other ones. You know what I mean? So I'm keeping that one, and then I'm keeping the other female that I've designated, and I'm undecided about that extra male if I'm keeping him or not.
So what are your intentions with breeding the white lips? I know you mentioned wanting to, select for the more golden color, but is temperament also something that you're looking at for your breeding stock?
So yes. So, I mean, I wasn't super paying attention to it as far as selecting this year because I just wanted to produce them. But that being said, all of my white lip pythons are relatively cool. Some of them, it's because I work with them. But the mom that happened to lay this clutch, like I can hand her to children. She's puppy dog tame and she's wild.
Really?
Like super chill. They can touch her on the face. They can do whatever they want. And she's not going to do anything. And all her babies are super chill.
No way.
Yes, the babies are so chill. I've been bit by one of them. One of them came right out of the egg, bit and wrapped me.
Wow.
But the other ones, I've never been bit since that by any of them. And then most of them, I can't even, like, it was a struggle to get them to strike at their food. Like, I'm sitting there tickling them with the mouse and, like, smacking them with it and, like, trying to get them to eat. And eventually I would get them mad enough where they'd just be like, just strike it, But, yeah. So, I mean, they're really nice. And it's clearly because of their mom. And their dad, he was, like, kind of nippy when I got him. The one I think is their father because I can't guarantee which one is. Because I put 4 males to the female. But the one I saw locked up with her right before she ovulated, he has a really nice temperament. He started off nippy, but I worked with him and he chilled out like really fast. And now he's reliable and nice.
Wow. Huh. That's really interesting. Because they kind of have a bad rap.
They have a terrible reputation.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, white lips, I'm not working with those.
Yeah.
Even
people
I've
literally said those words.
Yeah. Like I'll talk to people and they're like, oh, you can have that project, I'm like, thank you, because I love it.
Yeah. Well, dude, if you can make them more chill. Now, do they have a tendency to like flee and pee as well?
No. So they're not like, not at all. No. So no,
Okay.
I haven't even been mussed by any of the babies. The only time pee has come out is if I'm like, checking the sex. Popping them, but no, they don't. I have one wild caught male that if he's really full of food, and he was caught as an adult, that's really full of food, he will pee. But he does it occasionally, and it also has to be a situation where you picked him up and kind of hastily, you know what I mean? If you really take care with him, you're fine. So no, they really don't. They really don't have a tendency to musk. Even my scrub python muscle me all the time. So not like every time, but like at least half of the time. And he's an adult and I've worked with him for years. So
wow.
Yeah, they really don't have the tendency to do that.
Yeah, my Timor pythons, I swear, dude, it's every time. And I can get them on the hook and get them out of the cage. And then the second my skin comes in contact with theirs, they pee.
That's
They
crazy.
just,
Yeah, you were you
yeah,
were telling me about those, and I think they're
yeah,
beautiful, and that's probably what stopped me from trying to work with those.
yeah. Yeah, it's a bummer. My mail smashed into my hand the other night. I went in there to get I think I was scooping like some urates out or doing something. I can't even remember what I was doing in there, but I remember I went in there and he wasn't afraid, and I was like, oh, cool, he's not afraid. Maybe I can, finagle him out and get like a decent interaction. And dude, he smashed into my hand, and like I had like broken blood vessels in my, like it was full
Oh
blown
god.
like bruising and like
Yeah.
blood pouring out of my fingers. Like I was like the trauma from that bite was kind of shocking because it wasn't even a bite and wrap,
Yeah.
but he just hit my finger with so much force. Yeah, it was like somebody like hit my finger with a hammer. That's what it felt like. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, for sure. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've had bites leave a bruise and stuff like that too. From certain cantankerous snakes that I have come across. I had this male white lip. They're all northerns that I work with. For anyone that didn't know, whenever I say white lip pythons, I'm talking about northerns. But I had this male that was like 7 feet,
Mm,
and I had gotten him through like a wholesale group of snakes that I got, all captive bred stuff. But he was like 7 feet, and he was a pain. And he would bite me occasionally, and the last bite I got from him left a bruise and stuff like that. But it wasn't like, it was on the arm, so it wasn't like terrible. I
mm.
just wiped off the blood and I was good to go. And actually, he liked going outside. So I found that if I took him outside and then let him move around in the grass, the next time I went to pick him up, it was easier. So
Yeah.
he just he realized that like there's a possibility I was going to take him outside. And then that made him happier. You know what I mean? And that actually helped me to work with him. It was really weird. It really changed his whole personality just going outside.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know my female team where the last time I took her out to like make a reel, and I mean I had just taken her out, but anytime I take a snake outside, I'm gonna make a reel or something, and to feed the social media machine.
Yeah.
And I took her out and I put her down in the grass, and dude, she was just like cruising, cruising
Yeah.
all over and smelling everything. And then like once I picked her up from that point on, she was so chill. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure she just burned off all of her, glycogen and whatever energy stores. I know that they don't have like massive amounts of energy to burn, to be able to go for, like, they're not endurance animals, they're ambush predators, so I know that that has to be kind of therapeutic for them. I don't know, like I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking about myself too
No,
much, and
that's 100% exactly what I found to be the case.
mm,
Once I, pick him up, once he gets over that initial like, oh my God, you're still here, even though you put me down in the grass. After that, he'd be like, chill every time I picked him up. So I just start taking him right outside. If he was acting crazy, take him right outside, put him down, make sure to keep picking him up so that he remembers I'm still there, but then let him burn off some of that energy. And that's exactly what would happen. I think you're
yeah,
exactly right. You touched on something with that they're just burning off some of that energy and they don't have a lot of it because they're ambush predators. I
yeah.
completely agree with that.
Yeah, I think it's got to be therapeutic for them. I mean, maybe I'm just applying my own self. How good I feel after exercise or a hike. How tranquil I feel. Kind of it's like a natural tranquilizer for me. Where then I just feel like now I can focus on other things or rest and feel okay with resting. And
Yep.
you got to figure, like, we take these animals and we stick them in plastic boxes, whether it be a rack or a tub or an enclosure. They're confined to a plastic box, and out in nature, you look at all these people that are, out herping these animals, and they're cruising, they're cruising at night, they're moving around, they're looking for resources or mates or, a better spot to ambush from or whatever, so that it's got to be beneficial for them to be able to have that occasional cruise and, burn off of energy, especially with these, like more high strung animals,
Yep.
like Timors or white lips or, whatever it may be. Even my Argentine boa loves cruising through the grass,
Yeah, every snake that I literally, I literally was letting ball pythons cruise through the grass, and I was like, "This is so weird," but it's like, they're a snake just like all the other ones.
Yeah.
People forget they're a snake sometimes because they're so worried about the morph and all that. That it's
Yeah.
like they literally just forget this is a snake just like every other one. Those Timors are so beautiful. If they can captive breed those for a few years, get them more used to people, that would be so cool.
Yeah, mine are F1 and
Yeah.
from Ryan Young and my goal, I told Ryan when I got them, I said my goal is to produce F2s. That would be really nice to do that. And then it would be so cool to just have, a few babies and be able to go through and see which ones are the least inclined to musk or pee, and try to select for that. I think MJ had a similar dream, and I think he kind of gave up on it because it is. I already, I had 2.1 and I got rid of my extra male, and uh, it's difficult, because they are very they it can be exhausting working with animals like that, that are
Yeah.
always nervous, always defensive. It's never just, oh, let me take them out and work with them. It's let me take them out, then clean up their pee, then wipe off their body wherever they got it all over them and potentially have to, change my shorts or whatever because they got something on me, and it's not a walk in the park. It's not like pulling a boa out or a jungle carpet python, right? Where you just pull them out, interact. Oh, that was cool, and you put them back. It's
Right.
there. It's effort,
Yeah, I'm
So
not one of these people that's gonna swear them off. Like, I still think it would be cool to one day work with them and put that effort in and produce it. But I'm so focused right now on doing the same thing with, northern white-lip pythons that I can't commit to that right now. But man, I wish I could go reproduce those too. They're
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, you kind of have to get a little focused in on one thing or another,
Yeah,
because otherwise, forget about it. You're gonna exhaust yourself.
yeah, totally.
So, what about your retic? I mean, talk about a high energy, sort of high demand
Yeah,
animal. Just in a different way. High energy, space requirement is larger. So what kind of retic do you have?
I have a mainland lavender albino.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, she's only two right now, 2.5.
Okay,
She's already 9-10 feet.
dude.
Um,
What the?
when I
That's
say 9-10
crazy.
feet, she's not like she's skinny. So she's still
Wow.
skinny. I don't feed her a crazy lot either. I don't have a schedule for her. I see people that have their retics at the same age as mine or even younger at like 13, 14 feet and looking like an adult. And I'm like,
Mm,
why? I just don't see the purpose. They're already a giant species. You don't
yeah.
have to rush to get them giant. Don't you want to keep your pet for a long time? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't
Yeah.
understand that. But yeah, she's definitely high energy. And she's a snake that almost requires the outside.
Yeah.
You got to take her out. I let her do all types of stuff. I have a tree that is like, head level height to me with one of the, has a branch that's like head level to me. So I'll take snakes out and put them on that branch. And if they start getting too far, then I'll just move them,
Mm,
or I'll let her go in a swimming pool. We had this big inflatable swimming pool. It was big for a kiddie pool. It's for my kids. And then if they're not using it, I'll just dump the water and let her go swim
nice.
and stuff like that. And you learn a lot about your animal that way. And I have a buddy that's local to me. He's not super big on social media. He hates social media. But he's great with his retic. He has one that's like 16 feet right now, and he didn't rush to get her that size. She's like 7 years old, something like that, maybe more. And he literally will just open the cage, not tap her or anything, and just start walking around his room doing whatever he wants. And she can just come out on her own and stuff like that. And he's kind of who I've seen a lot of and had some hands-on experience with. And I'm like, you know what? I want my retic to be like that, and I, of course, have her tap trained. But at the same time, sometimes I'll be like, what's she going to do if I just open the cage? And I'll see. Or I'll just, and then she'll just sit there. And sometimes she'll just put her head out and just leave her head out and just stare at me, like my dog on the couch, just sitting on the top, just staring at me. And it's interesting to watch their behavior. They're interesting animals. They're very smart, just like people say they are. And also the food drive is just like people say it is. They have a very strong food drive that can override everything, so they're super interesting animals. She's a monumental and symbolic animal for me as well, because she was when I decided, all right, I'm all in on reptiles. I've now bought a mainland reticulated python. I have to commit to raising this thing, housing it and feeding it and cleaning up after it for the next 20 years. Like, all right, I'm taking this seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now all right, I've already got a mainland retic. Like, I might as well just go all into reptiles. And that's kind of when I made that decision, actually, is when I got her as a pet.
So what are your goals and ambitions with being 100% committed to reptiles and doing that professionally?
Yeah, so for me, eventually, I would like my number one thing to be YouTube. That's kind of my ambitions with it. I like breeding, though. I do enjoy breeding. I enjoy breeding things that people don't normally breed. And I also enjoy the other facet of my business, which is buying and selling animals. Now, it's not like I'm turning and burning animals. That's the stigma that there is in the reptile industry, and for good reason, because there's tons of people doing that. But I'm more so along the lines of good animals that I've kept for a long time. I can put my stamp on them that they're good. And through doing that, I can keep some species that I wouldn't get to keep otherwise, or wouldn't care to, because they don't fit my plans. You know what I mean? So I've enjoyed that as well. But YouTube actually is something that I've been doing it for a year. And this year, I'm only going to take it more seriously. So this year, I'm focusing more on studying how YouTube works, how to improve my metrics on YouTube, how to, catch the audience, how to up my views, up my reach and stuff like that. And not just by watching based people to figure that out. I want to learn from people that are just good at YouTube in general. You know what I mean? That's something I've been focusing on. This year, I spent a lot of time learning about different animals, different species, stuff like that, and just filling my head with animal knowledge, which is great. And I will continue to do that by default. But now this year, like, I'm trying to figure out how to push my YouTube channel and stuff like that. So that's something I'm starting to study.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing. It's, because you get sort of enslaved to the algorithm, and when you're creating content, you're really just thinking about what is going to gain traction the fastest and the most efficiently. And like, how do you plan on balancing that with the passion that you have for reptiles, and not how do you find the perfect union of those two things? That's I guess the $1 million question, where it's you're not just a complete slave to the algorithm that's just doing things for clicks. You're remaining true to what your original goal and purpose was, but making it in a more digestible format for the people that are going through YouTube.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's not super difficult because the passion's really there. So it's not like I have to fight for the passion to stay there. You know what I mean? The passion's actually there. So whenever the thought doesn't cross my mind, like, hey, you know what would be great if I went in the mall today and threw my reticulated python at people? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Or like something like that. It's just ridiculous. That's literally just for views. It doesn't help anybody. And it actually hurts reptiles as a whole. Right.
Hmm.
So that it's not really difficult for me to not do stuff like that. You know, when I think about getting better, I think about, for example, I learned the other day that you have to be careful how you use YouTube shorts, because the people that come to watch YouTube shorts are people that like short-term content.
Hmm.
And not only that, YouTube separates the algorithm for YouTube shorts from the long form content. So when you're putting out a YouTube short, yes, you may gain subscribers from it, but then when your long form video comes out, they may not show it to them. Or if they do, that person might just go right past it and scroll past it
Sure.
because they're not interested in long form content. They're a shorts viewer. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So then that tells YouTube, look, their own subscribers don't want to watch their video. And
Mm.
it tanks your long form content. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So stuff like that, if you notice a lot of the successful channels, not for reptiles, but just for stuff in general, they'll have a page just for clips. And then they'll have a page for their long form content. And after researching and watching some videos on it, I realized that's why they do that, because it's two separate viewerships. And if there's people that want to see your long form content, they'll see your clips page, and those couple people will come over on their own free will without being tricked into it and seek you out and become your subscribers on your long form page. But the other people that just wanted to see YouTube shorts, when you put out long form content, they're kind of ruining it when it
Mm.
comes out for the algorithm. So like that's the type of stuff that I've been trying to learn. Not like how could I be like, my retic just ate me and put it as a thumbnail. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
something like that. It just clickbait people. You know, it's been more like, how can I put my efforts, because I work so hard, into something that's more effective?
Mm. So what do you plan on doing? Just like information on specific species, or just kind of a chronological journey through your keeping and breeding?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I kind of do all of that. I do tour videos at different places. I do what's going on with me, what's going on with my breeding. I've been putting out northern white-lipped python videos because when I went to go breed them, there was no videos.
Mm.
So I decided, you know what, someone needs to make them. I've had some success now. It's time for me to repay the community and then put out some of these videos. Um, but yeah, I do tours, I do expo videos. I also do this thing because I'm good at Instagram. I know how to get followers on Instagram, at least comparatively good in comparison to YouTube. So I do this thing where I'll put out a poll on my page and I'll ask my Instagram followers a question. Like, let's say, what's the coolest python, for
Mm.
example, and then they'll all comment. And I tally up the votes through the comments and the likes. I develop a top 5 list, and then I make a video about it. So I'll make a video about those 5 snakes or whatever, and I'll show the comments that got included from the voting in the video. And then
Mm.
I'll actually send the video to those people. And it kind of brings people from Instagram to YouTube that way.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's something I've found success with.
So why the did you say you work with northerns or southerns? I'm sorry.
Northerns, it's okay.
And why them over the southerns?
Mostly mostly space. I actually
Okay.
like how they look too, but they're about like 1-2 feet in difference, you know, but that can make a huge difference on caging, stuff like that. They're easier as far as space. Now people say southerns are more placid, and the ones that I've interacted with were pretty chill.
Mm.
But you know, whether one's more placid than the other, I really don't know. But I like how they look also. I like a really gold northern. I like the darker northerns too, but if you're getting a really dark northern, it's possible you just like southerns. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I have both. I have darker northerns They still have some gold, but they're really dark, mostly on the top. And they look cool too, but I really like the really golden northerns. I really just like the look of them.
Yeah, they're such beautiful iridescent animals.
Yeah, they are. And some people think that they look too plain because they're all one color. But to me, like, they're beautiful. If I took out every snake in my collection and showed it to somebody that didn't keep snakes at all, the one that they're most fascinated with is the northern white-lipped pythons because of the iridescence.
Mm.
So it's eye-catching to them. They're like, that's crazy. I've never seen that. Like, literally, my mailman follows me on Instagram because I'm always outside making videos and stuff like that. He was like, what is that? And then, like, he's like, my friend has a ball python, but I don't know what that is. And then I'm showing him a northern white-lipped python. And I'm like, wait right here. I'll run inside and get another one. And then, and then let him hold one and stuff like that. But the people that don't know anything about snakes, they like them, because they're visually attractive.
Yeah. Yeah, they are beautiful.
Yeah, they're beautiful snakes. Yeah.
I hope you can really hone in on that temperament and like
it's already working so well that now I'm gonna do it really more on purpose. It's crazy how nice the babies are. Especially, I went and acquired a bunch of northern white lips from a bunch of places. And I got a lot of them in that did not act like this, especially at a younger age. So to see that I hatched babies that are that calm, it's kind of showing me like you can pretty easily breed for temperament.
Now, with bringing all these new animals and everything, how do you handle biosecurity and quarantine?
So at first, not well. And luckily for me, in some ways, first thing I did was go buy a bunch of different snakes from a bunch of places, and then boom, mites was exactly what happened. Okay, so I ended up getting mites, and then actually, around that time, you invited me on the show, and I'm like dealing with mites, and I was like, "There's no way I'm going to talk about any of this right now." But you had actually invited me on the podcast the first time when you had kind of like around the time you were starting up. I was starting up. I was starting up too. This is for it's kind of like this is both of our beginnings of our journey in this. So it's kind of cool that we're both doing that around the same time. But so I ended up getting mites. I had I don't know how many snakes by then, probably 20. And it was a pain. I had a custom cage that I built that was 6x4 by 2. And I had to throw the whole cage out because the outside was wooden. And I was just like, mice can get in the wood and stay there. I threw out tons of bioactive bedding. I know ways now that you can treat the soil and stuff like that, but I didn't know then. And I threw out so much stuff. It was a huge ordeal. And I had to treat with ivermectin. I had to drive out to a more rural area that I'm in and go to the tractor supply store and buy ivermectin that they use for the cows. And I'm like, I'm about to go use this on snakes. And then the guy's like, well, good luck, buddy. And then I had my wife helping me treat them all. And it took like 3 treatments. I had a pied ball python that actually got like a rash from the treatments because the chemical was so harsh. But it was a pain. And so now I quarantine extensively. Basically, it was such a pain that I learned to quarantine things in a completely different room.
Quarantine. I know that, like, I think that's got to be growing pains for everybody. I mean, I know that my big Argentine girl, I did not quarantine her. I didn't expect her to be the size that she was. The guy that I got her from was an exceptionally gigantic human being. So when I was looking at pictures of her in his hand on his arm, I was sort of, like copying her and pasting it onto my arm and thinking like, oh, I'll be able to keep her in a little tub and in a separate room on the other side of the house. And then when I got her, I'm like, holy shit, she's a lot bigger than I anticipated, and I put her in a 4x2 and was like, hey, fingers crossed, let's, I knew it was the wrong thing to be doing. And that was the last, that was basically the only animal I've ever not quarantined from the rest of my collection. And thankfully, and I had, reassurance from him. He only had, I think, 2 other snakes and hadn't acquired any other snakes for an extended period of time. And so it was kind of, it's not like she was coming from a collection with, 30 animals in it and stuff coming and going and all that. But so, yeah, ivermectin kind of scares me because I know that the toxicity level is actually kind of lower than you would anticipate, especially for a small animal like a snake. So were you using it externally or internally?
Externally only. Well, I would take the
Okay.
water bowls out and everything like that so that there was no chance they ingested it. And I
Okay.
actually used a snake discovery video to find out the ratio. And my wife's a nurse, so she just loves mixing up different, concoctions.
Oh, right on.
And she loves doing medical stuff. So I literally just let her mix it up. And then we applied it to all of our snakes except for anything under 100 grams.
Okay.
So if it was under 100 grams, we used coconut oil. And the coconut oil did not kill the mites, but it made them slip off the snake, and then you can just clean excessively. And I actually had a green tree python, my only green tree python, come in really dehydrated with mites after all of this. And I was quarantining it anyways. But I actually had to do that with that animal too. It couldn't even lift its head up when I got it. It was like a farm bred from a sketchy pet shop. And it literally couldn't lift its head up. It was wrinkled and it had mites all over it.
Wow.
And I was like, great. They had one of those representative animal photo type deals.
Oh God,
this
dude.
exact animal is not shown.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got it. I was like, I can't believe this. And then I had to keep putting coconut oil on it. And I ended up with the most handleable Biak like ever.
Wow.
Because I was doing that. But you have to be super careful with them because their tail's fragile and stuff like that. But I ended up getting all the mites off that one just through repeated coconut oil and cleaning the enclosure. And I have a buddy that he keeps like vipers. So he was getting in wild caught vipers, and he was like, look, just take a mouse fuzzy and take the syringe you use to give your kids medicine and inject Pedialyte into its mouth, into its stomach, and you're going to rehydrate your animal. So I did that, and it worked like a charm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that animal is totally solid.
Doing
now?
great. It's killing it. I mean, it looks amazing. It started off red, and now it's like yellow and green. It's doing really well.
Damn, dude. Yeah, that sounds like a horror story, but
yeah, it was terrible. And actually, I don't expose places or whatever because I feel like my platform's too positive to do that, to go around being negative. But I saw them later get exposed by one of their employees or whatever for just having terrible conditions, and I was like, "Oh, I got my snake from there. That's great."
Yeah. Who was it?
But I know, through trial and error, just reputable people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If anyone asks me like, "Hey, what do you think of this place?" I'll be like, "Hey, don't go there." But other than that, I'm not into blasting people and stuff like that because I can do so much more with positivity.
I wholeheartedly agree. But man, when don't you feel like sometimes when you find something out and you're like, God, I don't want to spread this because I don't want to feed drama and negativity. And but then at the same time, like you'd be heartbroken if one of your good friends in the hobby reached out and said, "Oh yeah, I just picked up X, Y, and Z from so-and-so." And you're like, "Oh no."
Yeah, I would. I do make it pretty obvious to my good friends, what has happened. Like if I'm talking to somebody I talk to all the time, I'm like, "Hey, did I tell you what happened with blah, blah, blah?" And I'll tell them. I just don't use my platform to do it. I mean, I feel like, look at it this way. The people, for example, the person, the company that probably affects the most people right now in reptiles as a whole is snake discovery.
Mm-hmm.
If you turned on your YouTube tomorrow, you're never going to see snake discovery doing an expose on somebody. I
Yeah.
mean, they'll literally actually do rescues where they'll rescue half dead animals and stuff like that. But their platform is worth more in the positive way than it
Yeah.
is to put out negative things. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're helping millions of people, literally. And it's because they're so positive that people relate to them and want to watch them and stuff like that. So I try, even though as a person, as a person, outside of reptiles, I'm like, I don't really, tolerate too much of that type of stuff. It's not like I'm running around the world yelling at people or something. But like I like to be respected. I like to, be treated a certain way and stuff like that. But I don't want to give my platform the wrong message. I don't want to become a negative platform. And unfortunately, that's what happens when you start blasting people. It's like
Yeah.
it's a slippery slope. And then, even if you're right, it doesn't matter. Like someone's going to be friends with that guy and boom, you just lost them. You know what I mean? Or someone's going to be like, "Oh, this guy complains a lot." Boom, you just lost them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like you gain more just by helping a vast amount of people, educating them to go buy from reputable people. You know what I mean? Go buy from somebody that you have thoroughly vetted instead of like me buying from a random pet store. And you can
Mm-hmm.
educate people on stuff like that as a whole and still be positive. Now, I've had people that are like, "Hey, I go buy feeders. This guy told me I go buy feeders from that pet store. And it's nowhere near me, but he's local to it." And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Yeah, don't go there anymore."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
ask me on a personal level, I'm definitely going to tell you. But I think the best way is just educate people in general so that they know never just don't go to those pet stores in general, you know?
Do you I totally understand what you're saying and it resonates with me. I try to stay super positive myself. But do you find that you require a like a circle of friends or a group chat where you can go and vent and let all that stuff out, and
Yes.
like because otherwise I found that if I bottle that stuff up for too long, I end up getting really frustrated, and we're a very, very diverse group of individuals in this hobby.
Yes.
And sometimes, people might say or do things that kind of irk you or rub you the wrong way. And it's good to be able to have a friend circle that you can trust and be able to go to them and be like, "Dude, like I just like I get where they're coming from," or like I don't understand this product, or whatever it is, like just to be able to let that stuff out, because otherwise I think you go crazy.
You're absolutely right. Just because I don't say something publicly doesn't mean that I ignore it or I just bottle it up. For sure. I do need that. Um I have friend groups that I can talk to, and also my wife is really helpful. I could
Mm,
bounce serious ideas off her, and she's always, first of all, she's got my true best interest at heart.
mm,
And that's a major plus. But then she's not scared to give me accurate advice, whether it's what I want to hear or not.
mm. How so?
So
Can you give me an example?
an example is I legitimately considered blasting companies before.
Mm,
And I was like, "You know what, baby, should I do this?" And she was like, "No, it's not worth it. Your platform means more than just the satisfaction and the couple people that you will help by blasting that person. You'll help many more people by having a good positive platform."
mm,
And there's other situations where, I'm getting really frustrated because of this or that, and she'll always help me through it and be like, "Look," and it could be literally something I already know. I just need to hear it out loud, you know. And it helps to have someone to just bounce ideas off of. I'm extroverted and introverted. Sometimes I can think things through in my mind, and that's where I need to really contemplate what am I going to do about this? Where am I going with this goal? Stuff like that. I'm great at that. But then sometimes out loud, I need to say things, even if I don't even need the other person's response.
Mm,
Of course, if I'm talking to somebody, it's not like I'll be like, okay, I said to be quiet now or something, you know.
yeah.
But if I say something out loud, sometimes I'm like, this didn't make any sense. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
said this out loud. Now the answer is obvious. You know what I mean? And I had to hear it out loud first. So that's how I know that I'm also extroverted, because I do
Mm.
have to bounce ideas off people sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard because, social media is it's such a great medium for communication and meeting people, like-minded people. And especially, and being exposed to like I said before, a diverse group that you might not agree with all the time. But damn it, man, like we can still all be friends, even though, we might not all agree on how we keep our animals or, any of this stuff. Right. But we're all we all have similar interests, and a lot of us are passionate about reptiles in, one way or another, whether it be lizards or snakes or whatever, and that passion is what I am really addicted to in other keepers is their passion and their excitement for something.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have a lot more in common than we think.
Oh yeah. Yeah. 100%. So recently, or well, did you keep short tail pythons until recently? Because I know I've seen those kind of pop up recently on your channel. Have you just started dipping your toe into the short tail python world?
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I didn't keep them until recently. And yes, I've just started dipping my toes into that world. They're just something that, like I said, I do, my third facet of my business is I will acquire animals, make sure they're good, and I get to keep them during that time period too, which is the fun part. And then I can actually, go ahead and sell them. And that's something I'm doing with the short tails. And I have a blood python right now too. And I just think they're cool. So I was open to keeping them, and I saw an opportunity, a couple different opportunities, and then, went ahead and got some. So they're cool snakes. I am new to them, but pretty much all the pythons are cool to me. Like I said, a lot of the boas too, even some colubras. So when I saw those, they've always been cool to me. So, yeah, I want to keep some. And they're cool. They're weird. They burrow and stuff like that, and then they'll just stare at you, you know, and that's pretty cool. It's fun to watch what they do. They're pretty cool. And then they barely go to the bathroom, but
Yeah.
they're just turning all the food into size, the ones I have, but you can feed them a little bit slower because they're heavy bodied too. They're cool. Yeah, they're interesting snakes.
Yeah, they grow ridiculously fast. Like
They
they have
do.
to be the fastest growing snake I have. It's crazy. Like it's like you get like this new animal, and all of a sudden it's like, how am I giving you a large rat and it doesn't even look like you ate anything?
Yeah.
And you've pooped like 3 times since I got you,
Right.
like it doesn't make any
Utilizing every
sense.
bit of that food.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're crazy. They're super cool. They're
So
super
so
cool.
walk me through, like you've kind of alluded to it a couple times. Well, like walk me through this facet of what you're doing, where so you're getting animals. Are you getting animals like at like wholesale cost, and then
Yes.
keeping them and reselling them?
Basically, yes. And
Okay.
it's always US captive bred stuff.
Okay.
Not that I would be opposed to something captive bred from Europe or something like that, because I would not be. But
Sure.
the key is that it's not like just wild caught whatever.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? So yeah, I get stuff at wholesale prices. I keep it for a bit and then I sell it. Um, I have a couple different people that have been really important mentors to me, but I decided like I want to get stuff and resell it, but I don't want to be one of these flippers with half dead animals all over their table at an expo.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. Like how do you plan on tackling that and doing that, getting exposure to species that you might not normally keep, and finding out if they are what you want to keep without catching, the title of flipper?
Yeah, so I called the only person that I could think of that could give me any advice on it. And I haven't asked him for a lot of advice, but whenever I have asked him for advice, he's always been there, and that's Gary Scavino.
Sure.
So I called Gary and I said, Gary, I don't want to be one of these flippers, but I want to, buy and sell animals, and what should I do? And he was like, you have to be detailed with what you're doing. You have to have attention to quality. You know what I mean? And basically, you have to hold the animals and make sure they're healthy. Is really the
Mm,
main key. Is you can't just turn and burn stuff. You can't just buy stuff and then just sell it immediately. It's not like that. It's not any sort of get rich quick scheme, and reptiles never are. You
yeah.
know, it can be another thing that produces income, but it's not like it's a get rich quick scheme.
Yeah.
And the most important thing Gary actually told me was nothing to do with the business side of it. It was just find something that you're passionate about, and your passion will be contagious. And I took that to something I was already breeding, and that was northern white-lipped pythons.
Mm,
And he also was saying how he used to use his wholesale shipments and to kind of pick out the best animals for himself. And that is something that I've done as well. I don't know if you've seen them, but I have this super golden northern white-lipped python male.
yeah.
And that was something I got on a wholesale shipment. And I was
Really.
like, dude, I can't sell this one. Like this, I gotta keep that one. And I have a pairing for him this year to the most possible golden female that I have. And I'm hoping to produce golden babies, and then kind of go from there. But, it's given me an opportunity to do that too. But really, the key is just keep the animals long enough that you can certify they're okay. You need a bunch of meals. I I personally keep a feeding chart and send it out with every animal that I have, um, whether I produced it or not. If I didn't produce it, it'll say who produced it, when it hatched. You're getting pictures of the parents. You're getting lineage if it's a carpet. You know what I mean? Lineage, maybe even if it's not a carpet. If it's like these Sumatran short tails, I have lineage on those. I have lineage on, some other species that I've sold as well. But yeah, I mean, it's just like you have to make sure they're eating well. And an animal could come in perfectly healthy, but then adjust to just being with me. So it might take a second to get it to start eating. I might have to keep that one longer or something like that. I might have to keep that one 4 months,
Mm,
instead of the 2 or 3 that I originally planned or whatever. Maybe even 6. You know what I mean? It depends on the different animal, but you have to be willing to do all that. You have to be willing to provide great customer service. You know, you have to be willing to literally do anything to make the customer happy. You have to provide that same customer service you would if you bred the animal. You can't just sell someone a half dead animal and pretend they never existed, which is what
mm,
a lot of flippers do, unfortunately. So that's what kind of separates me, is caring about the animals when it comes down to it,
yeah.
really is the difference. And then knowing how to go about that, as well.
Yeah. So now are all these animals that you're taking in on wholesale or whatever with the intent of, potentially selling and then, keeping the ones that you want for yourself, are these all going through like a rigorous quarantine? Are they totally separate from your breeding stock? Cuz like I could see that making somebody nervous if they're like, yeah, I like I want to get one of his white lips, but I also want to know that that baby isn't like or wasn't in a room with like a bunch of new animals that are coming in and then your potential of contracting like a virus or something like that goes up.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you have to, because, certain things can wipe out your entire collection. Now, it's important to vet what you're getting in the first place as well.
Sure.
So it's not like I'm just bringing in random things, but yeah, of course, they have to be separate, completely separate. And that's why another reason it's a separate facet of the
Mm,
business. But yeah, they're completely separate. And I also do other things like, since I'm feeding frozen thawed, the baby white lips have their own tongs. You know what I
mm,
mean? You could do simple stuff like that as well. I could have all my other animals upstairs, which is where they're quarantined at. And then if I use the same tongs, boom, I just
Yeah.
spread a disease from upstairs to downstairs. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you have to take care and, do other things to prevent it besides having them in a completely other room as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally. A lot of it comes down to also just buying quality animals as well. But yeah, they have to be separate.
Yeah, I know I've heard it, in the past where people are like, "Oh yeah, I've got this, whatever garbage disposal animal that, will take like the feeders that are, that someone bit and wrapped and then dropped and they didn't want to eat it and I hear that and I'm like, "Oh my God, like you're trying to save like $2 or $3 on a
Right.
feeder
Right.
and
Think
put it
about
to
the
use."
long
And
term.
yeah, like I understand not wanting to waste and be wasteful, but at the same time, you don't want to waste your animals. Like you don't want to kill all your animals because you did something. Like what if there's a pathogen there and that animal's asymptomatic and you have no idea? Now what have you done? It's not worth it.
Absolutely. Throw in the trash. Use the actual garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
I have a lot of vacant property around me. I'll just, toss that sucker out there, let an owl eat it or something.
Yeah, and for sure. Yeah. You don't have to worry about the lab mice being invasive, probably.
Yeah.
They're bright white, no be seen, and yeah.
And they're dead too. They're frozen thawed.
Okay, well then even better. I thought that that's why you were saying you were tossing out there, but I just throw my stuff in the trash. Take it out to the street. You know what I mean? And that's the end of it. I throw out rodents all the time.
Yeah, so do I.
Especially with these baby feeding trials and stuff like that. Like I'll just throw it, boom. I'll leave it a fuzzy in overnight, frozen thawed. If they didn't eat it in the morning, the trash is going to eat it.
Yep.
So yeah, just that, having some sort of long-term thought really helps. It's just like you said, what is the rodent really costing you? And then what are those vet bills going to cost you if you're only worried about cost, which you should be worried about your animal. But if you're only worried about cost, what are the vet bills going to cost you? You know what I mean? They're going to cost a lot more than that rodent. And it's going to be difficult and it's going to be inconvenient and it's going to be a pain, So if you're only worried about cost and just saving the money, think about the vet bills. But really, that's super dangerous to your animal and it's just not worth it.
Yeah. Imagine having to like euthanize an animal because you did something like that. I mean.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah. It's just not worth it.
Absolutely.
What kind of colubrids do you keep?
Right now I have one, a corn snake.
Oh, okay.
So she is a het A male, het ultra, which basically is allelic. So the two hets, interact to make a visual result. So she's bright orange and she's a motley. So she has some circles on her back.
Nice.
Yeah. She's beautiful. Yeah. And she's just a pet that I hand to kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into colubrids yet, but I have a feeling I'm going to be getting a dry Markham pretty soon here.
Those are super cool. Yeah. What are you thinking? Like indigo?
Yeah. I'm thinking about Texas indigos. Yeah.
Yeah, those are awesome.
That way I don't have to deal with the interstate travel permits and gifting and selling within the state and all that, all this other stuff. Like I don't want to deal with any of that. And also I'm trying to think, the idea of reproducing indigos sounds like a monumental task right now. But maybe 4 years from now, it wouldn't be so monumental. And then if I do end up with eggs and babies, I want them to be easy to sell. I want to be able to just put them up on Morph Market. I don't want to have to, ensure that somebody has, the permits and all these other things, like it's, I want it to be as easy as possible for myself and for others and, all the above.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But also, they are garbage disposals. If you end up reproducing animals and you have stillborns or failure to thrive or, whatever, there's an option to not let that go to waste,
That's nice. Even that one that I was telling you was dead in the egg, I felt bad throwing that in the trash. I
Yeah.
felt like it was a waste of energy and a waste of, yeah, just effort. And that thing was something that was growing at one point until it fully formed. So if I had a snake that ate snakes, I probably would have fed it that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're just so cool. They're so majestic. Dry Marcon are just so cool. And,
Talk about intelligence. They're very smart.
yeah. And I was just talking to my dear friend, Phil King, Wellington Exotics, the other day. And I told him, I was like, I can't wait to have a snake that actively hunts and chases prey. Like it would be so fun to open up a cage and actually have like a feeder on tongs and let them chase it down, and like go through the house with it, and like you've seen these videos of people doing that with like false water cobras and everything, and where they're just like so fast, and chasing, a frozen thawed rodent on tongs. And I think that would be really fun and rewarding. I think it would be really neat.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I'm torn. Like yellowtail Crebos are freaking cool too. They look like cobras. They're so neat looking.
Have you seen the all red blacktail?
No.
It's insane. I'll send it to you after we get off. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. They're like I can go on. I like going on Instagram and just typing in Dry Marcon and just scrolling through and like finding new accounts to follow and meeting people and asking questions about their animals and their temperaments and all that. And yeah, it's always fun. I'm not rushing into it though. I'm taking my time. I'm asking questions. I just had John Michaels on from Black Pearl, so I got a kind of a crash course on keeping Dry Marcon from him.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking more about your question about how I bring animals in and wholesale them, and then how I keep it sanitary between that and what I produce.
Yeah.
So basically, it's not like I'm bringing in hundreds of animals either, right? So when I buy a wholesale group, usually I'm buying like 5 animals.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's a super manageable amount. And anyone that breeds, especially people that breed a lot of animals, they're bringing in over 5 new animals a year just to add to their breeding stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm just sourcing it really well. And then I do keep them separate as well, but it's not like those animals aren't healthy either. You know what I mean? I have to put my stamp on those too. So if someone buys something from me that I bought wholesale originally, I'm guaranteeing that animal is healthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, it's not like I'm like just shuffling animals through, even in my quarantine area. It's a long, tedious time, and it's not that many animals,
Who like can you like you mentioned before mentors, and you talked about Gary Shavino.
That's a good question. Yes.
Yeah, like who are some of your mentors? Like, take some time to shout them out and how they've helped you and what you've learned from them.
I would say, as far as breeding, my biggest mentor is Will Philippek. By far.
He's such a sweet young man. Love that guy.
He's awesome. He's very knowledgeable. And he's able to not only have the knowledge, but he's able to convey that knowledge, which is important because some people have a lot of knowledge, but they can't teach you any because they're not good at communicating it. Will Philippek has been super helpful to me, especially as someone, trying to produce northern white-lipped pythons, which is something that he has produced a few times, and stuff like that. And just in general, he's been great. Like I said, Gary Scavino has been great on, I haven't asked him a lot of stuff. Like Will, if I had an issue, Will would probably be the first person I would call.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll call Will just to talk to him. I'll literally sit on the phone with Will and just talk to him and not have a single question for him.
Yeah.
So he's been a really cool guy. Gary Scavino has been very helpful. There's been other people that have been helpful as well. Nick Mutton has never refused to talk to me. He's actually he's actually super nice and super approachable. People probably don't think that he's so approachable. He really is. He's super
Yeah.
nice. He's answered every question I ever had. I've never bought an animal from Nick or Gary, and they've always answered all my questions. Another person like that is Dan from DM Exotics.
Oh yeah,
Dan
that
has
guy.
always
Yeah.
answered any question I've ever had, and I've
Yeah.
never bought an animal from him. So these are people that just genuinely love animals. And there's more people. I would be naming people all day,
Yeah.
but I've definitely had the benefit of having some really good mentors. And there's people that I know would do it that I just don't have anything to reach out to about right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's so many people that are willing to help me, and that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. William is such a good guy, and he can squat so much. It's crazy.
He's great. How much does he squat?
I think he sent me a video of him squatting like 600 pounds or
That's
some crazy
insane.
shit. It might have been more. I think it might have been more.
I don't doubt it. That's insane.
He's
That's
so
really cool.
stupid strong. It's crazy.
That's awesome, man. Yeah,
it
that's
doesn't
awesome.
make any sense. He's yeah.
That's so cool. He'll have to mentor me on that because I definitely can't.
Yeah, I mean I mean at a certain point it's genetics. Like hard work is 100% factored in there, but
yeah,
genetically he is a freak that is meant to move weight, so like that's
you heard it here
Yeah.
first, guys. Will Philippek, a weight moving freak.
Who also breeds snakes and
He
is very
happens
kind
to be
and
one of the greatest snake breeders of our time as well.
yeah, he's so generous. He's so generous with his time. He's always down to podcast and chat and really the world is his oyster. I mean, like that with the facility he has built, with his dad and the support from his mom and everything, like it's so cool to see that the support that he gets, from his family and just the hard work that he's put into his facility. And like I can't imagine where he's going to be in 10 or 15 years. Like it's going to be nuts. Like he's going to be a household staple name when it comes to, pythons. And because just the diversity of his collection is incredible.
Yes.
It's absolutely awesome. All the things he keeps.
Totally, man. And that's something else I'll be talking to him about soon eventually is just building a building, what it entails, what I need, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. Because I do really, in the next year or two, I'll be moving to a different house and building a snake house, basically, a snake facility. So I don't know how much I want to up my breeding because, like I said, eventually I want YouTube to be my main thing. But I want some more, at least a bit more space for my breeding. And that retic's going to need a giant cage, right? So I got to, plan for that too.
Yeah, building is definitely something that I am planning on.
I've heard you talk about it too.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I've put a lot of thought into, and at this point, it's essentially just finances and execution, and it is that's something that will definitely be happening. Just because like my Argentine boa, like I know that I'm going to want to end up keeping the females in probably 8x2x2s and probably the males in 6x2x2s. And I just want them to have adequate space, and that's my primary concern is keeping everything with adequate space to where, and my whole thing, the whole reason why I keep is just because I like watching the animals. I like seeing them. I like observing their behaviors. And, like if I get into, if I get a pair of indigos, they're going to need a lot of space too. They're very active, very intelligent. And, that's my primary concern. So it's more, I've kind of expanded out as far as I can in the house,
Me too.
And, yeah, it gets to a point where you're so psychotic and that you need a separate building for your snakes,
Yeah, I'm at that point too. It's crazy that this is your first year doing the podcast, right?
Coming up a year and a half in. Yeah, it
Nice.
started in June of 2024. So yeah, we're a year and a half in coming up. Yeah.
In that year and a half, how many animals did you start with, and how many do you have now?
Ooh, boy. I have no idea. I'd
Has it
have
gone
to.
up a lot?
It hasn't gone up that much.
Okay.
A lot of the stuff I had were in like grow out racks, which
They're just getting
so
older.
yeah, they're getting older. They're requiring their cages, which I kind of anticipated that. I calculated that, like, okay, they will need to move into cages that are this dimension, and it'll be able to last them X amount of time, and having that wall space and that space within my house to move them into those enclosures was all calculated in before getting them and putting them into a grow out rack to get them established and get them through my somewhat lengthy quarantine, which is usually, anywhere from 6 months, usually is kind of the standard for my quarantine. Just to make sure that nothing has, it develops any symptoms of anything. It's like you get through that first 6 weeks and then you're like, okay, I can give you guys substrate now and get you off of paper towels. And now we have to get into, we kind of got past the whole mite situation, potential for, I should say, mite situation. And then, so quarantine 6 to 8 weeks on paper towels, really scrutinize stools, urates, potential presence of mites. And then, okay, now you guys can have substrate, maybe add some paper towel tubes to the tubs and everything, make it a little bit less Spartan. And then eventually they, after that, it'll be another probably maybe 3 or 4 months before they get to go out into a full grown, or into a larger enclosure, given that it all depends on the animal too and the individual. Are they confident? Are they feeding well? Are they going to respond okay to going to a larger enclosure, or is it going to be too stressful for them? And, am I putting my priority first? And my priority is I want to be able to watch them. I want to be able to see them in an enclosure, but if I move them too soon, it could be detrimental for them, mentally,
Absolutely.
to where they go off food or something like that, which I do not want that to happen.
Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah, I mean, you hit on something with putting the animal first. You definitely have to do that. And then that's the cool thing about, enclosures that, I'm getting more into like throwing plants and stuff like that, and stuff that's not convenient for me, but is convenient for the animal. Is definitely cool. And yeah, like it's crazy just watching the pets I have grow up too, because 2.5 years ago I had this 2 foot retic, and now I have like a 9, 10 foot retic.
Yeah.
So obviously that's the fastest animal I've ever seen grown. I don't know if there's any snakes that really grow faster than that. I mean, because obviously they're the longest snake in the world. I know anacondas get heavy, but they grow
Yeah.
really slow.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's kind of just seeing my boa go from, what she was to now a 4.5 year old boa. And it's kind of like, oh, this is what I bought her for. And now she's that. That's kind of cool, and stuff like that. And yeah, that's all super cool. And I want to eventually with my retic have a huge enclosure, kind of like the size of a room. You know
Mm.
what I mean? And that really is my goal with her. And I think
Yeah.
that people that get them should eventually have that goal.
Yeah.
Um, the end game should not be an 8x2x2. You know what
No.
I mean? Because literally that's what I have mine in right now. And she's longer than it, and she's 2.5. And I don't power feed her. So it's kind of like, she needs a lot more. And during the winter, it'd be nice that she could have more, like I could put a huge tree almost in her cage and she could
Yeah.
climb on that or something like that. I could make the whole thing bioactive. It'd be beautiful. And like stuff like that stuff I got to do or that I want to do. And I have to slowly build up to that. And like you said, it takes finances and execution.
Hmm.
And just step by step, like, okay, I could buy a piece of it now. I'm going to buy a piece. of this. But the main thing right now is getting a house, getting a building, and things gotta, things gotta change for me, family wise and stuff like that too, because I have a 3-year-old sleeping in my room right now. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So he needs a room and stuff like that. So we're definitely going to be getting a house, and then I got to figure out the snake building, and that's going to be super interesting and fun. And that'll be cool to document for my YouTube too along the way.
Yeah, dude, I would kill for a basement. Oh my God. Like, that's kind of the biggest downfall.
That's what I'm in right now.
Yeah. Like having a basement is so huge because that can be your snake building. If you have a basement that's finished, like that can totally be your snake building.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, mine is finished. Now there's a spot above the ceiling where it's open, but it's not like the whole thing's insulated. I'll say that. But there's a spot above the ceiling where there's a hot water heater and washing machines and stuff like that down here. So my family still needs that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I've kind of got like this whole side of the room, and I'm pretty much maxed out on space. And in order to further stuff I want to do, like if I really want to selectively breed white-lipped pythons, I need a bit more space. Yeah. And if I want to put my retic in what I feel is an adequate cage, I need more space. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
there's
like
some
said,
stuff
I gotta
need a room too. Yeah, I can't take there's stuff I want all the time. Like I was nerding out recently on Boega dendrophilia gemicincta, the all black Sulawesi mangrove snakes. I was just thought they looked so cool, like a spitting cobra or something. And I'm like, you know what? I know it's only like a 6-foot snake, but it's arboreal. You know what I mean? It needs some space. This is not something I can take on right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that was a hard decision for myself because, like, if I say to my wife, like, all right, I'm getting 5 to 10 snakes tomorrow, she's like, so? You know what I mean? It's not like I have her trying to constrain me and then being like, you can't do this or that. It's me that has to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, I just got to think out, is it logical right now? And a lot of different stuff isn't. So I'm not taking on pets right now. You know what I mean? It has to be, the stuff that I bring in now has to be for sale. You know what I mean? Pretty much at this point, or part of a breeding project.
Yeah. Yeah. Your wife's an enabler.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. She would, like, if I was ridiculous and I was unable to police myself, she would definitely be like, look, what are you doing? She never has a problem telling me when I'm wrong or when she feels like I'm wrong sometimes, right? Because I'm never wrong. No, I'm just kidding. But but she never has a problem speaking her mind. But she trusts me and she trusts my ability to do that myself. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's because I do a pretty good job of it. So it's kind of like I've built that for myself where I don't have to be like, hold on, let me ask my wife, and stuff like that, so that's good,
Yeah, I think, I mean, I don't know, like, I don't know what I've gone through, and I think the construction costs for what I want for like an all block building would be like probably $70,000.
Wow.
Just for a block building 16 by 38, which is kind of the size that I've settled on.
Okay.
So that would be like $70K, and that's excluding like permits and getting an electrician to wire it in and potentially a plumber and like all this other stuff. But what is kind of cool is local to me, there's this shed building company, and they sell these, they call them smart spaces. And they take this shed that is 38 by 16, and they use expanding foam and insulate the entire thing, which is imperative here in Florida. And then they utilize LP Smart Side, which is like this. It's a siding meant for outdoors.
Okay.
So it's bulletproof, right? So it's kind of a lower cost option to like the PVC. I think it's Truss Core that Ryan uses, and William,
where he doesn't get any mold.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And so you'd be getting, so they take this LP Smart Side and they put it in and they paint it. And so that stuff is 100% mold resistant, right? Because that's what they use on the exterior of the sheds here in Florida.
Uh-huh.
And they'll do the full electrical package. They're like, how many lights do you want? Like, how far do you want them spaced? Do you want them on 2 switches? Do you want those switches to be dimmers? Do you want them, where do you want your outlets positioned on the walls? How high up, right? So I'm like, I want them 80 inches up off the floor. So that way they're above my cages. So I don't have to reach behind cages. I just go up on a step ladder and plug stuff in, shorter cords, put them all in, so it's basically plug and play, right? Like they literally deliver that to your house on the back of a semi truck. And so, and they can put in an internal wall. So it'll essentially be like a finished, storage building that will be delivered.
That's amazing. And that's what the 70,000 was for?
So that's actually, so 70,000 would be a concrete.
Concrete
would be a concrete building. Yeah. So
okay.
like the actual shed itself, I got quoted $35,000.
That's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all, considering the amount of finish that's done in it. Now, I could get it and have it stripped out and then pay an electrician to wire it, pay an insulation company, and then, I could do the siding myself on the inside. The only issue would be the ceilings. Like that would be really, like I would need to have a partner to do that. But yeah, so, there's definitely options there. I've been kind of feeling that out for probably the last 6 or 8 months, just, what my options are as far as expanding out and, what direction I want to go with that.
Yeah, no, you've definitely looked into it a lot. Have you looked into getting it zoned for agricultural use?
No, I can't do that in my city, in my area. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't know much about it, right? But I heard Justin from Canova say that he has his building zoned as a barn.
Interesting.
And I know he has a massive, like, $1 million facility. So he got it zoned as a barn because then no one can come say, what are all these animals doing here? Well, it's a barn. You know what I mean? So I thought that was actually really smart. What you're saying, you've looked much deeper into the building than me. And I'll probably be talking to you more about it because a lot of that was very good to know. And it sounds really great to have a company just basically show up and do it all. You know what I mean? As long as it's going to be mold proof, which is the most important thing. And it sounds like it will be. So that's really cool.
Yeah. And like Ryan said, like you want a tight envelope, so he said that on Cush's podcast. I don't know if you've listened to that episode. If you haven't.
I did. He was talking a lot about electrical wiring and different stuff like that. And I did listen to that episode.
Yeah. So like that's a great resource in and of itself, is just making sure that you have that tight envelope and then making sure that everything is mold resistant within that area. And yeah, I mean, and then it's just small things, getting a mini split on it and all that. And, just sort of, take it bit by bit. If you plan on moving, that's a whole different thing. That's.
Yep. Yeah, because I have to move to do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have to move to do it. And I have to move anyways, because literally my youngest son, he's fine right now, but he needs a room,
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we're already planning that. And that's part of the reason that I haven't overly done the snake building yet, is because I need to make sure that first part's taken care of. You know what I mean? The fact that my family needs a new house. You know what I mean? So that takes priority, but I know it's going to be part of it to have the snake building. So, once I figure out where am I going, what does the land look like? Are there existing buildings on the land? Different things like that. Then I can troubleshoot what exactly the building's going to look like. But that's something that I definitely plan on doing.
Yeah. And maybe even you could find a house that has a gigantic basement, where, like that's half your battle right there.
Yeah, for sure. That would be cool too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was saying this to my wife. I'm like, I don't know if I would like it'll be cool to have the separate building, but at the same time, like I'm going to be I think a little bit sad because while I'm doing maintenance with my animals right now, I'm still with my family and interacting.
Yep.
And so that's something I've thought about too, is that once I have the building while I'm doing maintenance and everything, they're going to be separate from me, so
Yeah, that
I don't
makes the
know.
gigantic basement sound really nice. You're totally right about that.
Yeah, having it connected, and especially you're in Virginia, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so like, you know, imagine like the middle of winter and a nor'easter coming through. That's what they call it, right? Like a
Yes.
big snowstorm.
You got it.
Yeah, it's like 85 degrees here right now.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, outside is not horrible right now. When I say not horrible, it's like 50 something, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not
So
bad.
it's not like they're getting, up north right now and stuff like that, but the temperature is definitely a factor. And
Yeah.
I like this state because there's not restrictions really much on what I can keep. So that's one of the reasons I like this state, but there's other states like that too. So
Yeah, like what are the most snake friendly or reptile friendly states? It's got to be like, I know Texas is one of them.
yeah, I know Pennsylvania is pretty friendly.
Yeah.
Like I was just at an expo up there and there's just venomous on the tables, and
It's
stuff like
crazy.
that. I didn't film it for my video because the vendor had terrible husbandry, but so I didn't film it. But they were there.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania's pretty friendly. I actually asked this question. I'm in a retake group on Facebook, and they gave me a ton of answers. I think Tennessee was on there. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. West Virginia is definitely one they said. I know that Virginia, where I'm at, is pretty friendly. But yeah, there's definitely quite a few states that won't give you too much trouble right here on the East Coast, but all across the country. So that'd be a good topic to further dive into. I'm kind of
Yeah, for
like, I don't want to
sure.
go too far from most of my family is over here too, my extended family. So
Yeah.
I'd kind of like to stay near them too. So it's kind of for me between Virginia and West Virginia. And then you get into what is the school system like? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And stuff like that for my kids. So those are all factors. But yeah, it's like my scrub pythons, the Somalia amethystina, and a bunch of states I look at, they're banned. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. Or I'll look at a state and I'll be like, "Do you guys seriously, I don't know. I'll look and see if they're banning a carpet python. Like I got to look at a different stuff, That's not a commonly banned snake, but scrub pythons are for sure. And that's one that
Yeah.
catches me off guard. I believe I've looked at states where retics weren't banned, but scrub pythons were. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, that's something that may have gotten jumbled through just looking at all the snakes in different states, but I thought that I saw something like that. But yeah, I want to
Yeah.
keep all my pets. Like I don't want to have to rehome something because I moved to another state. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, if I were to ever move, which I never will, it would be to probably Texas, I think. That would.
Texas parts of it are really good, but then you got your city ordinances too.
Yeah,
So
I've
like
heard
you don't
that.
want to move to like Dallas. You know.
Yeah.
For example, because you couldn't even have your Argentine or
Really?
because the Dallas Expo, they don't allow snakes that get over, I believe, it's either 6 or 8 feet to even be sold there.
That's crazy.
So like the NARBC Expo, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? People go to it because there's a lot of cool people around Dallas they can go hang out with.
Mm.
But their laws and the city itself of Dallas, you got to check those. And like I did a venomous snake tour in Virginia,
Mm.
and I got in contact with a guy that I thought was local, but it turned out he was in Missouri, and he was like,
Oh.
"You're welcome to come over for a tour anytime, but I don't live over there. But let me find you someone that lives over by you." So he found me a guy that lived 2 hours from me.
Mm.
And the guy said, "Do you want to shoot just a YouTube video or are you wanting to handle venomous snakes?" And I said, "Are you going to let me handle venomous snakes? Because I'll do it." You know what I mean? So he was like, "Yeah, come on down." So I drove down there 2 hours. All I'm thinking about the whole 2 hours is it'll be my first time handling a venomous snake. So
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, a little bit nervous about that, you know?
Sure.
So I go and then I'm like, when I meet him, you know, we introduce ourselves, all that good stuff. And I'm like, you know what? Can we just get the handling the venomous snake part out of the way right now? Because I'm nervous about that. And I don't want to be thinking about it the whole video.
Yeah.
And then he was like, cool. So he was like, take this. And he handed me a face shield. And
Okay.
I was like, okay, so you're handing me a spitting cobra. And he handed me a spitting cobra. And then I was like, you can take pictures of this, right? Like, you're not going to get in trouble with your permits or whatever. And he was like, what permits? And I was like, oh, so you don't even have to have a permit right here. And it was a local thing. Like, locally where he lives, he does not have to have a permit.
Wow.
But where I live, if I was to keep that, I need a permit, and we're in the same state.
Jeez.
That spitting cobra was super chill, by the way. It's just the end of the story was super chill.
I was going to ask. I want. You can't. Can't
the
just
spitting cobra was super
He handed me a
chill.
face shield.
Yeah, like it didn't hood up, nothing like that. It was Siamese spitting cobra, and black and white, beautiful, and it was just slow moving, chilling, nothing crazy. And then he actually had a Western Diamondback shed out in front of me, and he needed to clean it, so I got to hold that too. And it was rattling and everything. And then when I picked it up, it was just chill. But yeah, you know, certain snakes, he would let me mess with them with the hook, but he'd be like, yeah, don't touch that one.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. But
did he make you like,
cool.
Did he make you like sign like a liability waiver or anything
Nothing.
like that? That's
nothing.
Wild.
And then he was like, you know, he was actually somewhat responsible. You know, he was like, not going to do any free handling on camera. You know what I mean? And not like I asked him to do those things, but he was all for safety and all that type of stuff, which, you know, was definitely great. But no, he literally told me, if I had told him I just want to shoot a YouTube video, I don't want to handle any venomous snakes, he would have never let me come over.
Really?
Yeah, he was like, that's why I asked you, because if you said, I just want to shoot a video, you weren't coming over here. Because, you know, he wanted someone to come over that loved animals. And that's what I realized when I went over there is this guy's not crazy. He just loves animals, and he, you know, just loves different animals than I love, and he's okay with that risk. You know what I mean? So we were at a point, we were sitting there talking, and we had like a Russell's viper just sitting on the floor, and we're just like staring at it. You know what I mean? And it's not moving or doing anything. You know, I'm sure if we went and jumped over by it, it would try to bite and stuff. But we're just sitting there and watching it like it was a TV. You know what I mean? And we're just sitting there talking, and I was like, this guy just loves animals. He's not crazy. He doesn't have a death wish. He just knows there's a risk, and he's okay with that risk because he likes these specific animals. He's just an animal lover, just like me.
Does he have anti-venom or anything? Did you ask about that? Like what his contingencies are?
No anti-venom. I didn't ask him, but I don't think, I mean, I may have asked him. He didn't have anything. And most people don't. You know, like even your big YouTube people that do venomous snakes, I've heard them talk about their procedures. They don't have any anti-venom. You know what I mean? You know, I don't know of any that actually do. I think Tom Crutchfield had a little bit saved up, but only certain species. But it's like majority, if you do venomous snakes and you get bit by some of that stuff, you're pretty much screwed. You know what I mean? You go to the hospital, and then you'd be like, yo, a gaboon viper just bit me. And they're like, dude, like we're in Idaho right now. You know, like,
you have to rely.
Why did a gaboon viper bite you? I have no treatment for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're kind of screwed. So it's like, that's when I learned also why they all use the scientific names, the venomous people, is because you have to be able to tell the doctor what you got bit by. So it's important for them to actually know the scientific name and stuff like that. But no, you'd be surprised that majority of them have no antivenom.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah. It is crazy. And it's like, I enjoyed holding the spitting cobra. I enjoyed holding the rattlesnake. But would I keep them and do that every day when I had to clean and do it thousands of reps, thousands of times? It's just too much of a risk. Yeah. And though they're super cool, and they really are, it's just not something. I need my hands. I need my body, and I need my life, and my family needs me.
Yeah.
So, the way I'm thinking at the age I'm at, it's not something I'll be keeping. But if I'm with somebody in a situation that I've deemed to be safe, then I may handle a venomous snake with a hook or something
Yeah.
like that, but yeah. Yeah, I mean they're just animals, but they're animals that are to be respected.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, like not having anti-venom is like not having health insurance, kind
Yeah,
of.
and I mean there's snakes where they literally don't make antivenoms and people keep them. Like Mangshank vipers.
Mm,
Anyone with a Mangshank viper doesn't have antivenom for that. And
yeah.
there's a ridiculous amount of venomous snakes that people don't have antivenom for that they
Yeah.
keep, and they all they're required to have, even if they have a permit, is a bite protocol book.
Mm.
So they literally have a paper saying what they're going to do if they get bit.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not like, I'm not poo-pooing, people keeping venomous snakes without anti-venom. I don't want it to come across that way. If I were to have it, if I were to have a venomous snake, I would make sure I have some anti-venom on hand for
Yeah.
that
No, I think
species.
that's
But that's
surprising to
just
most
me.
people. I think that's surprising to most people. I found that surprising too when I first found out watching like some popular YouTubers that keep venomous, and they were going over their bite protocol. And I was like, wait, you don't have anti venom for any of this stuff? And you have
Mm,
like 50 plus venomous snakes? That was shocking to me. So I totally understand what you're saying. And yeah, I mean, I would probably try and give the snake to the venom lab so they could make some, or whatever I had to do to get that anti venom too. But
good luck
I
on
feel
that.
like to a degree, people that keep venomous snakes are just okay with some amount of risk and they're just accepting of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they don't, I don't want to say they don't care, but when it comes down to it, they've accepted that risk.
Yeah. I mean, it's same as riding motorcycle. I mean, that's
Yeah, that's a good
ex-
comparison.
it's
Yeah.
extraordinarily risky, but if that enriches your life enough that you're okay with that risk,
Yeah, exactly.
then that's between you and yourself. That's your own.
Absolutely. And skill can help you be better at it, but things can always happen too in the same way with motorcycles.
Yep.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? You're totally right. That's a very good comparison.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a very good comparison.
Yeah. It's like I said, I'm not judging anybody. I'm not saying anything negative. I don't want it to come across that way. It's kind of it is very much your choice. I rode motorcycles for a long time until I had my kids, and then I decided it was too dangerous, and I was required to be alive now. Like it was a
Yeah.
requirement.
Isn't that the worst? No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. When you're required to be alive.
Yeah.
Don't you hate that?
So I need to mitigate risk now. Son of a.
I totally
I
relate to that. Yeah, for sure.
In one of my neighborhood like Facebook groups recently, somebody had an Eastern Diamondback rattler right out front of their house, and just coiled up, and they were out on their front porch, which was all screened in, and this rattler's just rattling away, and of course there's 178 comments in there, and I would say probably 50% of them were violent. The other half is, oh, that's one pissed off animal. And it's like, no, it's actually not pissed off. It's terrified. It's terrified, and it wants you to go away.
Absolutely.
You're the thing that doesn't belong here. Like if it came down to you or that snake, you are the one that has no claim on this land. They have been here for so much longer. And if you could just respect that and just let him go instead of making a spectacle out of it, we should educate ourselves. But at the end of the day, I ended up looking it up, and like rattlesnakes are less dangerous to humans than ladders. Right. But nobody goes out to their garage and records their extension ladder and then puts a video up on Facebook, and they're like, guys, I just came across this ladder in my garage, and they
Look
kill
at the size of them.
Yeah, ladders kill 160 people a year on average.
I believe that for sure. Yeah.
And your wife, being a nurse, can probably attest that they cause tons of injuries. I think they cause I can't remember the exact figure, but it's like over 20,000 ladder injuries per year and 160 deaths. People die from ladders.
My uncle had a really bad ladder injury. It shattered his whole leg. Like the X-ray, there weren't even bones there. It was just all shards.
Yeah, I used to paint. I used to work with a pool cage painting crew, and the amount of times that people get injured on ladders and scaffolding and things like that, like it's wild, but it's a risk that you take.
Yeah.
For monetary gain.
Yeah.
And, but just, how many people in America die on average per year from rattlesnakes?
How many?
I think over the last 15 years, it averages out, because it fluctuates between two very small numbers. It averages out to 6.
Wow.
Okay. Out of how many people are in America? 340 million people.
A whole lot.
6 people die per year. Okay, like that is insane, right? But it's that fear response that it gives you, right? And then it's and I'm looking through the comments, and there's this one kid that's like, he's like, oh yeah, you should have your husband relocate that. And I'm like, okay, 2 things. First, that's illegal. You can't do that in the state of Florida. You can't relocate venomous snakes. The other thing is, by telling this person to do that, you're putting that dude at so much more risk than just letting it go.
Right.
Let it pass through. That's all you have to do, is just let it go, man. Yeah. You don't need to, does this dude have a hook? Does he have tongs? Does he have a locking lid bucket? Does he have
experience at all?
Does he have any experience at all? Probably not, because he's posting a video of it as a spectacle, going, oh my God, look at this thing that is totally expected to be in this exact area. This is blowing my mind right now.
Right. It's almost like you built a housing development on top of its habitat.
It's almost like we did that. And it's almost like it's breeding season right now, and they're on the move.
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh,
people are the worst. And I'm sure half the comments were like, chop its head off and stuff like that. Yeah. That's the worst.
Pew pew. I saw that, right.
Overreactions. Yeah.
44 Magnum would take care of that problem real quick, like all that stupid shit,
Right. Now you're discharging a weapon in whatever neighborhood this is.
Yeah.
That seems like the answer, right?
Yeah. And again, messing with a firearm in a neighborhood.
Right.
More or less, let's weigh that out. Yeah. Should we get into the safety of firearms, especially in the hands of idiots in my neighborhood? Should we get into that?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say they cause more deaths than rattlesnakes.
Probably more than 6. Yeah, probably more than 6 in America. Yeah. Damn it, man. Now I'm angry again.
Dude, it's the worst. I literally have to take periods of time where I don't log into specifically Facebook. Because it's like Facebook is just rage baiting me so badly. Like the first post I see, I'm like, no, why? I know. It's because I'm part of all these groups too. And it'll be like, just the craziest, wildest post that I never wanted to see of the most outrageous behavior with reptiles. And I'm like, why, Facebook? Why do you want me so mad all the time?
I know, dude.
Not every app is as bad as you, Facebook,
I was ready to go to bed, and I saw that damn rattlesnake post.
It's always right when you wake up or right when you go to bed.
Yeah, and I'm like 178 comments. Like, I should not look at these. I should not look at these,
now
dude.
You're invested.
And I'm like, I'm just gonna look at a couple comments, and I start going through, and I'm like responding to people like an idiot.
Right, and then they're gonna just respond with pure ignorance. Yeah,
and I told the person, because they're literally a 10th of a mile from my house. And I was like, hey, if you want assistance on how to maybe mitigate having these animals come onto your property, like hit me up, shoot me a DM, and I'll come by and we can like kind of walk around your property and see, like, do you have any hose bibs that are dripping? You know, do you have, you know, let's check out your condensate line for your AC. Like, do you have bird feeders that are overflowing and drawing in rodents at night? Like there's all these things that you can do to mitigate interaction with potentially dangerous animals. You know, or you can just accept that they're part of the landscape and they're actually really beneficial to have around. They knock down the populations of rodents, which are vectors for disease. You know, like that's it, you know, come on, man. Come on.
Right. Yeah. People forget how the ecosystem works. And then you got these states that now have to reintroduce wolves and stuff like that because you ruin the ecosystem by taking out all the predators. You know what I mean? And they were there for a reason.
Oh, I'm sure you guys have deer out the wazoo up there, right?
Oh, yeah. And nothing hunts them.
Yeah.
And they're just running into your car.
Yep.
Full speed, just running into the side of your car or the front or wherever they choose to because they, you know, they don't really know. They're actually, most of the ones that I come across are actually pretty smart and they sit there and wait and stuff like that. But I've known people where the deer just ran full speed into like their passenger side door. You know, and it's like, that's crazy. You're just getting football tackled by a deer in your car.
and it's probably a male chasing a female, you know?
Probably. And I just went to Pennsylvania and it was like, I went down this like 2-3 mile strip and there was like 5-6 dead deers on the side of the road. And I was like, I've never seen so many deers hit by cars on one road. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there's not many predators and, you know, you got to rely on the non-native invasive Homo sapiens to knock them down, you know?
The invasive Homo sapiens always get it done.
Yep. Yeah. It's anyway, sorry to rant like that. It's just
that was a good topic. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it drives me crazy. And I know that Roy Blodgett, that's like something he does on the side is he helps, you know, mitigate rattlesnakes being on people's property, and you know, he helps people walk through that and kind of consults with them, and you know, that's a really noble thing. And he even told me that relocating the rattlesnakes like almost ensures their death if you go like too far out of their range. That the better thing to do is like, all right, what's bringing them in, you know, what's bringing them to your property to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And there's a reason they're over there.
Yeah. Yep. And they're not common in my area. I don't think I've ever seen one like alive and healthy. You know, I've seen them half dead on the road. I've seen them, you know, hit by cars and everything, but yeah, it's, yeah. Do you do a lot of herping?
I do occasionally. I wouldn't say that a lot, but I guess it depends who you're comparing to. I definitely do herp, and stuff like that. Yeah, I was herping last summer. I was herping this lake, and it's a lake in Virginia, and the whole lake was made to cool off a nuclear power plant.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to see like the three-eyed fish from The Simpsons here, you know, but it was one of the best herping spots I've been to. It was called Lake Anna. But yeah, I was finding just crazy amount of snakes, mostly like water snakes, like Nerodia. Sure. And that was super cool. And yeah, it was surprising me how many people were swimming in the lake, but I know like supposedly nothing's wrong with the water or whatever. But they ran like a whole triathlon in front of me while I was herping. And it literally started in the lake, and then they came out and got on bikes, and then they finished it off running. And I was there herping all day, so I saw every part of the race and stuff. But I was like, there's hundreds of people in the water right now just swimming in a lake that cools off a nuclear power plant. That's crazy.
Is crazy.
Yeah, I don't trust that water.
I wouldn't trust that water. Even I don't. Yeah, maybe if I had what do they call it? A Geiger meter, you know?
Right. Like yeah, you know what? I'll have to invest. Yeah, I definitely herp. And then my wife went with me, and we were herping further away from the lake. And we moved towards the lake because when we were herping just in the dead woods of nothing, well, first of all, you're going to find less snakes because there's no water source. But secondly, what we did find was bear trackings. And there was bear trackings. There was scratches all over trees and stuff like that. And like I was fully prepared with bear spray and other measures, but I'm like, there's just no reason to run into a bear right now. And then also we weren't finding any snakes. So, you know, which for me may have been more of a factor, which is not good. But yeah, I went and moved by the lake, and then we were just finding all snakes just sitting out on rocks, lizards everywhere and stuff like that. And I live by a park that I go to sometimes where I can find snapping turtles and stuff like that. It's not like you're snatching them up and looking at them because it's not that type of place. Yeah. But you can go look at all of that stuff, and that's perfectly fine too. You don't have to disturb every animal you find. And stuff like that. But yeah, I enjoy herping. It's cool. It's not necessarily my main thing, but it's something I love doing. It's relaxing. And if you enjoy reptiles, you should enjoy herping because it's the coolest way to go see them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. We've got a cool little trail that I love taking my kids on. Every time we go there, we see, you know, black racers and alligators and stuff like that, you know, and
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's good to be able to, you know, just see them. Like you said, like you don't have to mess with them. You know, black racers, good luck. Like you're probably not gonna be able to get to them.
You know, you could try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try.
Right. They will be gone in a flurry of leaves. Just flapping away.
Yeah. So do you plan on incorporating more like herping or maybe like travel videos and things like that as time goes on?
Yeah, definitely. Whenever I haven't, my main herping trips that were semi-recent were kind of before I did this full-time YouTube thing. So the next time I really go herping, it'll be a video for sure. Nice. And I do videos when I travel. Now, I don't always do an amazing job of showing the actual travel. Because I go back and forth in my head about how much people care about it. And will they turn my video off if I'm like, let's say I went to New York, for example, and I didn't show a lot of the travel, but I showed the places that I went to. I don't know if that's exactly what you were asking, but as far as tour videos in general, I do plan to do more. And I've been kind of a victim of my own success in a way where the time when I was supposed to go do some pretty big tour videos, I actually hatched out white-lipped pythons.
Oh.
So I was like, you know what? I got to go ahead and stay here. You know what I mean? It's not really much of a choice. But I literally have a list of, I think right now it's at 17 different tours that I have to go do. And I've done some good ones so far. I did a cool one at the Gecko Gallery in Brooklyn. Nice. That was super cool. It's run by Richie Lale, the Gecko King. And it's just a bunch of endangered species of geckos. And he literally teaches people about endangered species, why they're endangered, how we can preserve them and stuff like that. And it's just the most visually aesthetic, display of geckos and stuff like that. Is absolutely beautiful. And I saw my buddy Jimmy. I know you have interviewed Jimmy actually.
Yeah, Jimmy Ma.
Yeah, Jimmy at Gecko and Gecko. That was a fun tour. He has some cool stuff, really cool stuff, and he's very knowledgeable, and he's at the top of his field of what he does with tokays and leechies.
Oh yeah.
And I shot the whole tour with Jimmy, and when I came out, my car was towed.
What?
Yeah, so my car got towed. So it was in like New York, and then I parked in front of a lady's driveway basically. So it was my fault it got towed, but her driveway was high and the sidewalk was low, and they were both the same color. So it was like her driveway looked like everything else. Yeah. It looked like any other piece of sidewalk. And then Jimmy actually took me to the police station and then to go get my car. And he was so cool, man. And then
what a sweet guy.
Yeah, he's so nice. And then they needed cash. He pulled the cash out of his pocket, and I actually Zelled it to him, the money, because they needed cash, because I don't know. I didn't really trust why they needed the cash, but that's another subject. But
Yeah.
they said they needed cash. I wanted my car back. So, but then I got my car, and there was a note on the window from the lady, and it was like, "You blocked me in my driveway." And it was like a bunch of curse words. I was like,
Wow.
"Thank you so much." I would have been out in 10 minutes, but thank you. Uh,
Jeez.
yeah, but it was actually a cool bonding experience with Jimmy,
Yeah.
and he's super nice. But yeah, that was some fun tours, and like I like people that when you go to visit them, even if you're not staying with them, they're good hosts. Like
Yeah.
Jimmy is a good host. He was like, "You guys are over there." I didn't realize where he was, so I was staying super far from him. I was in like Coney Island, and then
Mm.
I was apparently right next to a really good aquarium. So he was like, "Go to this aquarium." And then I went to it, and it was amazing. Um, but yeah, I have some farther videos from me that I want to do, across the country. On even down by you in Florida. I don't know what part of Florida you're in, but I have multiple stops I got to make in Florida, in different parts of Florida.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's one place I actually should get to soon is Florida. I have spots in the middle of the country I want to go to. All types of different places. I definitely have plans to do a lot of different tour videos that are going to be really cool.
Yeah, you got to go see Ty Park at Iguanaland for sure.
Oh yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one I hadn't even considered. But where is that?
Punta Gorda.
Where's that by?
It's in Florida. It's probably let me do like maybe like 100 miles ish. I'm rounding south of Tampa, if that makes any sense. It's
Okay,
on
yeah,
the
for sure.
west
Yeah,
coast.
that's a cool tour. He has like the outdoor cages and stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've
Yep.
seen the videos of him. He had like boas outside, which was super cool to me, and
Oh yeah,
stuff like that.
he's got
So
everything, man. He's
yeah,
got
it's always fascinating to me as someone from Virginia when someone keeps any reptile outside.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
that's so cool how you can do that.
Yeah, I've got my diamonds outside. It's
I know
interesting.
they're awesome. That's so cool. And I bet that they act different in the natural air and sunlight.
Oh yeah, way different. I mean, they got down to like 30, it was 29 degrees the one night,
Wow.
and my wife had tarped them. So inside their enclosure it was still in like the mid 40s.
Okay.
But yeah, they were, now it's warm again and the male is cruising. He wants food. So, it kind of, we had like a cold snap and now it's warmed up again. And during the day, it's like
Oh
in the,
yeah, it temperature cycled them.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's, so he's, I don't want to feed him, but, I know we're going to be getting more consistent cool temperatures here. But yeah, it's definitely interesting keeping them out there. His colors have changed. He's become darker. Like he's produced a lot more melanin pigment on
Really?
his scales. Yeah,
I
he's
never
gotten
thought
a
about that aspect, but that makes sense.
yeah. I think just like getting all the sunlight, like his color has really changed. He's gotten a lot darker, and I'm sure now he's kind of that dark pigment is helping him pick up the warmth of the sun and
That's what
everything.
I
And
was gonna say. I feel like it's the cold that developed that because now he needs to utilize that sunlight.
yeah,
That
yeah,
makes
it's
sense. That's really cool.
yeah, and they're evolved to be in these cold temperatures. So it'll be interesting to be able to observe these behaviors while they're outside. It's really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
All right, man. Well, is there anything else you'd like to touch on or talk about?
Um, not really. I mean, thank you for having me on. If you guys want to check me out on YouTube, Markham Reptiles, Instagram, Markham Reptiles, any platform. But yeah, I mean, I'm just grateful. Like literally it's been a year. I've been full time. I'm happier than I've ever been.
Nice.
So that's huge for me, and now I don't have the doubts in my mind that I had at the beginning of the year. I was
Mm,
doubting myself, doubting whether I could make this work. And now I'm like, you know what? You bet on yourself, and that was the best bet you could have made. So I'm super happy about that. So if you want to go for something, then go for it. And if you like an animal, don't let anyone else tell you that it's not a good animal. Like there's a lot of people that don't like northern white lips. They say they're too wiry, they're too snappy, whatever it might be, and I absolutely love them. So I mean, just because someone else doesn't like it doesn't mean you shouldn't.
Yeah, man, for sure. Well, Kyle, I really appreciate you, man. It was great having you on. It was good talking to you and getting to know you better, man. I appreciate it.
It was great talking to you too, Adam. We'll be talking more in the future for sure.
Hell yeah, dude.